Good afternoon, everybody. And Deb Denny's has got herself in a world of trouble. My name is Frank Johnston. As a voter here in Volusia County, I started researching the candidates for different offices. And in doing so, I stumbled upon some really horrible things. And it really have to do with Deb Denny's, who's running for county chair for Volusia County. And after finding what I found, I thought it was completely necessary to file complaints. So 4 complaints have right now been written up and getting ready to be sent out to the mail. So this is one complaint. This one is for the Florida Commission on Ethics. We have one for Florida Elections Commission. The Attorney General and the State Attorney is getting complaints. So there's about 150 pages of evidence, not including the paperwork that has to be filed and my statement. That's just 150 pages of evidence ranging from misappropriations of county assets, election finance fraud, money laundering, ethics violations, election conduct law violations, and misrepresentation of endorsements. There's a lot of other things in there, but there's so much that was found that I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Everything from getting more than she was supposed to from donors, trying to move it around and hide it, to violations of her political action committee where she was the chairwoman, raising thousands of dollars from members of the community, and then directing that money to her consultant and approving flyers that were going against her competitor for the same position, and then saying that money was not part of her campaign. It wasn't. It was in a PAC. But you controlled the money and used that money to support your own campaign. And at the least, that's a violation of ethics and it's a conflict of interest. But that falls more into the money laundering because you're raising money outside your campaign, funneling it through another organization that you run and created yourself to get funds that you couldn't get through your campaign, and then use that for your signage and endorsements. The endorsement issue, that's a whole nother thing. She's had ads, as I was writing this, new ads on the radio, TV, making it seem that Mike Chitwood, our sheriff, was endorsing her and supporting her, and then she would edit Jeff Brower's statements and comments to cut them short so she could try to create a narrative that made him look like he was trying to cut budget to the police, when in fact, I have a written statement from him. When I spoke to him, I said, please give me a statement, sign it, have it witnessed. We pulled up the records from the Mark Bernier show, and her statements online and radio and TV were absolutely false. And that is a violation of state law to misrepresent those things. The misappropriations actually happened while she was in office, before she stepped down so she could run for county chair, where she was asking for county assistance to get information to help with election. And she clearly stated in her statement on record, this is an election year. So she was trying to get that to help her election. Election finance issues, go back to getting more money than she's supposed to from donors, multiple cases, including her PAC. Money laundering, that's that PAC issue. She's trying to launder money through her PAC to help her campaign when it should be raised at the standards of her campaign. Ethics, don't need to explain. All that's the ethics issue. And the conduct law. So the reason there's 4 agencies involved is that they have different aspects of those violations that they would cover in jurisdiction. And one finds something, it's then passed on to the next. So for example, the Attorney General, she can review it, find there's misconduct and there's violations, pass it on then to the state law enforcement agency so they can do an investigation. So there's more people who eventually can be brought in, including the IRS, regarding a lot of the stuff from her donors. It has been stated that one donor, the Husseini family, now I want to make sure this is clear, the whole thing around the Husseini family stating that they got PPP loans to help with the pandemic, I read the articles, and to their benefit, those articles are wrong. I'm not supporting the Husseini family, but in all fairness, the amount that the reporters came up with, I couldn't find where they got it. I emailed them. I asked them, where did you get these details? Where'd you get this information? And the one wrote back, I can't get down into details. I don't have time to break it down for you, but here's the link. I went to the link, the SBA. I pulled up their files. Nowhere in those files that they use for those reports state who got what. I called the SBA. The SBA said who received what is not disclosed to the public. In fact, that each individual company went to the banks, their banks, and applied for the loans through their banks. So the SBA does not release the information of who received what. So I don't know how the reporters got that the Husseini family received money. If they did, the people who need to investigate that is the government. If they received loans, now this gets a little tricky. Did the Husseini family receive the PPP loans? Yes or no? Let's say they did. Then they donated tens of thousands of dollars to Deb Denny's alone, not to include all the other politicians and candidates that they donated to say they need these loans. Now, these aren't grants. These need to be paid back. So when you take a loan out, you're paying it back. No big deal. But however, the trick comes to when the government decides, and this is talks, are these loans going to be forgiven? Does the Husseini family and their businesses get entitlement to loan forgiveness when they were donating tens of thousands, if not more? We don't know the total number. We don't know all the candidates they donated to. Deb Denny's alone was close to 20 grand. So we know that other candidates have received money from the Husseini family and their businesses, and that's completely legal. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing against them doing that. It comes to question if they're funneling their money through the businesses, then that's paying on behalf of somebody else. That is illegal. So there's a lot of questions. Should they get loan forgiveness if they're donating their money? That's up to you, the electors, to decide and reach out to your congressmen, both state and federally, and tell them this shouldn't be flying. People donating, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to candidates for elections, and then asking for loan forgiveness on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because when I did go through the SBA, most of the loans were, and they broke it down to amount $100 and something thousand, which if you got a combination of loans could reach in the millions. Should those people be entitled to loan forgiveness or grants? That's a question for debate. But as far as I've seen, the Husseini family, there's no proof they did that. I don't know where these reporters are saying the Husseini family got those loans, unless the Husseini family themselves disclosed that information, or the company management disclosed that information. As far as we know, which company got what, who signed what paperwork and applications, we don't know. Nobody knows. It was unfair for the newspapers to report that unless they had facts they did not disclose to me. But they told me they gave me the link. The link said A, B, C, very clear. There's no disclosure of what the Husseini family received. There's not even the name of Husseini family or any of their businesses named. It literally says the bank, the amount of money, the type of business, the industry they're in, the dates. It's stuff that you couldn't determine who got what. So Deb Denny's, Husseini family, for the most part, they're in the clear unless something's found by the government by digging around. But they did donate twice on the same day, $1,000. That's $2,000 in the primary one company gave. That's a violation. And the bigger violation lies on Deb Denny's campaign, because the company, the same day, did we write the check? Maybe forgot, wrote two, sent it in. Deb Denny's accountants and Deb Denny should have said, hey, we need to give back $1,000. They didn't. They kept the money. And it wasn't just one company. It was multiple companies that were over donating, and they kept the money. Now, if you look at her accountant, who's been in the news and the media over the past few years for issues just like this, a lot of stuff comes up. So we hit on a lot of things where a lot of things aren't lining up in the record keeping. Some stuff is very suspicious, and that's where the complaint comes in, giving the government, giving them a heads up. Hey, look what we found. Because obviously there's thousands of candidates running. They can't monitor everybody. That's our job as the citizens to point this stuff out and say, hey, look, here's some fishy stuff. They look at it and say, okay, there's something there. Let's dig deeper, because they can get deeper. We can't. We can't pull up the checks from donors and see what dates they were written, who signed them, how that was all done. That's the government's job. And that's why we have the government to assist us in these matters. And that's why we do the complaints. And, I understand why people don't do them. This has cost me, for doing this complaint against one person, it's cost me close to $200. And for the average American, $200 is several days worth of work to just give up, to make a complaint that you'll never get back that money. I do it. I have to do it for us. I do it for everybody. You need to know the truth. Deb Denny's, there's a lot of questionable stuff. I don't know her personally. I can't speak about her as an individual, as a human being. But I can tell you what the papers are showing me. Something's wrong. Something's fishy. So I'm going to mail these all out tomorrow. I finished doing them all up. I put all the nice little tabs, all the exhibits of evidence for them to find it easily based on my personal report. It was about where I highlighted and told each little point of what the evidence is and what that's pointing to help with clarification. So it'll all be going out tomorrow. So hopefully by Monday, the state attorney's office, the attorney general, the Commission on Ethics, and the Elections Commission will be receiving these complaints and reports and evidence, and hopefully within a few days, I'll be getting something back. As soon as I get something back, I'll share it with everybody. So everybody, please do your due diligence, research the candidate, support a candidate who's really going to fight for you and do what's right for you. I'm big on the environment. I want somebody who's not going to do overdevelopment and not care about infrastructure. And, so those are what's important to me. But make sure the candidate doesn't just say it. They have a history of doing it. Jeff Brower, who now I'm going to support wholeheartedly based on what I found here, he's a farmer, he's a rancher, he's a small businessman. His heart is true and honest. And he believes in the same things I believe in. A farmer and a rancher and a guy who does landscaping that's eco-based and eco-friendly is a guy who's going to fight for that because that's what he loves. He's not going to give up the fight on something he doesn't love. So if he didn't love the economy, the environment, he wouldn't be doing an eco-friendly business. He wouldn't be a rancher living in the country where we're surrounded by green and forests. So I know that's a guy who believes in what I believe in. So I'm going to fight for Jeff Brower, especially when I find that somebody who's running against him is as corrupt as this. And not to mention that she's not just running on a platform. She is attacking, and she is misleading the public and giving lies and twisting things that other people say and pretending and making the communities believe that law enforcement is behind her. Mike Chitwood went online last night after I emailed him and several other people emailed him after these advertisements came out. Mike wanted to make sure it was clear he does not endorse her. In fact, many of the law enforcement agencies and their groups are behind Brower. This is what I'm seeing. Deb Denny's has a flyer going out with policemen and officers on it, making it sound as if the law enforcement is behind her. Nobody in law enforcement, as far as I have seen, has given any official statement they're backing her. The only people I see backing her, based on the financial reports, is predominantly big business. Construction companies, property investments, real estate. The people are going out here and clear-cutting our forests to build new subdivisions. The problem is there's no infrastructure. Our schools are already overwhelmed. Now you're building communities for families, and families bring children. We have children here that are going to school, so now the schools are going to be overwhelmed. What are we going to do? Sewage, water, runoff. We have animals. Our wildlife. Where are they going to go when you're clear-cutting the forests? We already have bears and raccoons in our neighborhoods, and we also have coyotes. Now they're going to be overstressed. We're going to have an uptake in animal-human contact, and usually that doesn't turn out well for people. There's usually a bite, an attack, something like that, and then the animals are hunted down and killed. For what? Because we destroyed their home. We took their home and made it our home. And then we'll kill them because they defend their home. So I hope all of you will take this, keep your eyes open, look at what the candidates are doing, really what they're doing, not what they're saying. Because they can say one thing and do another. It's what they're doing that tells you who they are. And Jeff Brower, he's the man I'm voting for. And I hope that all of you don't take my word on it. Look at the facts. You can look up her political action committee. She just changed her name to somebody else's chairman after she funneled all the money through and used the money to pay for her campaign. It's in paper. You can see it. It's written. It's submitted by her. You can find the financial reports and review them. You don't need to take my word. All this stuff is there. You can go to the county and get the records. This stuff is public information. So what I'm telling you is not something I've made up and only I know and a handful of people know. This is public information that just most people aren't going to go look at and read. So again, God bless everybody, and let's get this year over. 2020, we've had enough of this year, and we hope that you get out there and vote. God bless you.